Hey everyone, Caddy here, and here's my video all about the latest effort from The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, what many people consider to be not only one of the best Zeldas, but one of the best video games ever made, period. And you know what? I can see that. I understand why people think that, because in terms of pure raw adventure, this is one of the best experiences I've ever had in an open world game. It does so much right, and when I picked it up, even knowing how universally beloved it is, I wasn't disappointed, which doesn't happen often. However, there's a big issue with my opinions of this game, despite how much I enjoyed it. I don't agree with the ridiculous level of praise here, and as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the most frustratingly flawed masterpieces of the last 10 years. Don't misunderstand me for a second though, I really loved my time playing this game. I enjoyed it more than most open world games. As you can see here, it took me about 50 hours to finish the story. I explored every single corner of the map that I could, found 76 shrines, rescued all the divine beasts, found about 100 Korok seeds or so, nearly fully upgraded my guardian armor, and I did all of that without any guide whatsoever, which, for God's sake, is the only way I implore you to play the game, because of how much densely compacted content and seemingly endless options you have to go around playing the game in practically any way you'd like to. I wasn't even close to completing the game. I'm pretty sure I wasn't even 20% into finishing most of it, but I love how it's been built like that, so that you don't have to dedicate your life to finishing it. Breath of the Wild's open world is designed in such a way where you can reasonably find and do as much as you need to comfortably end the game without needing to feel like you need to look up more of the cryptic aspects. And you can even go straight for Ganon if you really want to at the beginning of the game. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Yes, I really bloody enjoyed this game, but do I think it's one of the best games of all time? No, and I'm honestly shocked that so many people seem oblivious or totally ignore some of the issues with the game, but then I guess people have been doing that ever since Ocarina of Time, am I right? Anyway, because of how conflicted I feel on my love for this game, I figured the only logical thing to do is to essentially list all of the shit I liked to let everyone know I still really liked the game, and then follow up with my issues so that you can understand how frustrating I found them compared to the good stuff. And because of the secretive and surprising nature of some of the game, I must warn you right now, spoilers alright, okay, nice. Let's just get this out of the way. I thought this was probably the best introduction to an adventure game I've ever played. The mysterious and spooky story intro, the brief introduction of the main mechanics, then the swooping beautiful shot only teasing you of the vast and gigantic Hyrule, followed by the title of the game and no other instructions, letting you know here and now you can do anything you want. By the way, this game looks so good in many places with its art style that I could forgive the occasional time the frame rate shits itself. If I'm still drawn into the world, I can forgive this kind of stuttering if it isn't in more than maybe, I don't know, 20% of the game, like in Bloodborne or The Witcher 3 on PS4. Breath of the Wild is the epitome of, oh, what's that? Let's go and see. See that? You can go there. No mountain is too tall, no river too powerful, no canyon too wide. You can do whatever you'd like, and there's over 1,000 secrets and surprises hidden within, from mini bosses to important quest items. Tower climbing isn't just handy for filling in the regions of the map, but also means you have a new high point of the world to glide to wherever you want to and wander around, unlike Assassin's Creed or something where you literally just use the tower points to show off places of interest and nothing else. This is a new adventure opportunity, not just something to fill the map in. And when I say the game is completely open and ready to be dissected, I'm not joking. Aside from the Great Plateau tutorial area, you can do nearly whatever you want in nearly any order you want. Even near impossible enemies for the early game can be beaten with enough skill and courage. Everybody playing this game will have a different experience and different stories to tell. You'll find different armor sets, pick up different hidden weapons, meet different residents in different houses, and making it to the end is mostly a question of how much of the world you want to explore until you feel ready to tackle Hyrule Castle. Link being able to climb practically any surface isn't just a mechanic for the sake of it either. It actually adds a surprising level of strategy to the exploration. This isn't like, I don't know, first-person Fallout levels of climbing mountains where you just need to jump forever along the same points and hope that you register on a tiny part of a flat surface to keep jumping up from there. Here, you can follow a path if you want, or just ignore horizontal design and embrace verticality, all depending on how much stamina you have to climb it. Yeah, luckily it's a completely balanced mechanic and one you always need to think about before and during the act of climbing, as it would be too easy to just climb wherever you want to, whenever you want to, for as long as you want to. So you have to decide before a climb if the trade-off for the risk of falling with your stamina level is worth it for the shortcut you're taking, in the same way that jumping up a surface while you're climbing makes the process a lot quicker but uses even more stamina, making the whole act of climbing a tense scramble and judge of depth perception as much as it is strategizing a path upwards before you take it, especially depending on how slippy a surface is from the weather conditions. I also found combat very fun, not without its problems, but we'll get into that later. It's very fast-paced, frantic, and reactionary if you choose to dodge and weave, but also doesn't leave you overpowered if you hide behind behind a shield from how quickly they can break depending on each kind of attack. Plus, it's nice and easy to attack airborne enemies without locking on, and the flurry rush system allowing you to smack an enemy multiple times for a successful dodge looks cool, feels great, and genuinely gives you an edge in battle. You also get access to different Slate abilities that you can use as much as you want after you wait for a very short recharge, from spherical bombs and cube-shaped bombs if you don't want them to roll around, time-stopping objects so that you can smack them for momentum-based shoving, and magnesis to grab and push metal objects. And all of these can be used wherever they apply for a variety of reasons, from sneakily fighting enemies behind cover, grabbing chests out of the water, and solving many mini-puzzles around the world, as well as use them all around the different mini-dungeons scattered around the map in the form of the shrines. Despite these things being built to be solved in any order you discover them, I found them all to be a joy to solve, and yeah, they're a little bit easy I suppose, but I found them a damn sight more interesting than any other 3D Zelda puzzles from past games, and that is honestly just my opinion in that sense. I love how you're given all of the tools to solve all of them from the start of the game, so all that stands between you and the solution is your brain or combat abilities. And yeah, some of them can be broken with unintended slate powers, but I see that as rewarding for thinking outside the box instead of outright bad design. Plus, it doesn't happen too often where it completely ruins the effort that was put into these. I honestly prefer this style of tons of mini dungeon puzzles and bosses scattered around the huge open world you can solve regularly, over the Ocarina style with occasional dungeon gauntlets where the main puzzles lie. And that means, in my opinion, the balance between exploration, then puzzle solving and immediate reward is great, and it gives the world depth and reason to explore along with the Korok seeds around the world. Not only useful for trading in to upgrade your carrying capacity, but also can be found from extremely brief mini puzzles that test your perception of the world around you and how much you're paying attention to it. If you see something out of place, 9 times out of 10 you're probably right that it shouldn't be there and it has a Korok seed hidden within it somewhere. And all of these things together make exploration actually worth a damn, but only as much as each player wants from it. Since your heart count and stamina wheel can be upgraded from shrine completion and inventory space from Korok seeds, the whole game is based around how comfortable you are with your own defenses before tackling bigger challenges, and how much exploration you want to do. But hey, from the hugely different visuals, weather conditions, incredible sights and heights you can reach, and inhabitants for every region, I just wanted to look around everywhere anyway, whether the game wanted me to do that or not. And that's the most impressive thing about Breath of the Wild, along with all of it fitting onto a portable console, of course. For such a huge game that is a big old time sink, it never stops being immensely enjoyable. At the start, the game gives you just enough stamina, health and inventory space to get around, but not quite enough that it isn't a little bit annoying, and a great drive to make you want to explore and upgrade them. Not just for the sights and sounds and just getting better gear. It simply feels good to get around all of the different regions on foot, on horseback, or whatever, and it is like you are wading through, well, the Breath of the Wild. There's so much stuff to see and do, and it makes it even more fun when there are seemingly unlimited approaches to combat situations and enemy camps, and even the main thing the game does so well, the exploration, with the high towers, high mountains and gliding from them, and the fact that you can climb nearly anything. When these things combine to the point of you climbing above the enemy and throwing a bomb, or pushing rocks into them, sniping them with a bow from a distance, sneaking up to them to stealth attack or steal their weapons and then throw them all at them to break the weapon but double the damage, it becomes not only an impressive open world game, but easily the most open and freedom-based Zelda to date, which I found awesome. Even cooking of all things, is Minecraft levels of experimental, and with body temperature and freezing to boiling regions, it's also more important than ever. Hunting around the world for meat or collecting fruit or plants to use while out and about is cool enough, but then to bring it to a pot to not only cook it to increase the heart replenishment, but also add different buffs depending on what other animals and plants you mix them with, elevates the system from cool to really fucking cool. Temporary higher heart count, stamina regen, cold and heat endurance, attack and defense up, and you don't even need to waste regaining hearts while using these buffs, since you can make elixirs that do the job without the heart count. This I seriously wasn't expecting, and from all this stuff together, I found Breath of the Wild to be a refreshing and extremely engaging addition to the Zelda formula. But is the game a 10 out of 10 in my opinion? Best game of 2017? Best video game ever made? Fucking please, this isn't even my favourite Zelda game. Yes, I enjoyed every hour of the 50 that I played, and I do have a lot of praise for such a beautiful, open-ended and totally free, both structurally and exploration-wise, video game, but there are a good few major flaws with the package that stop me from enjoying it as much as other open-world games from the year like Horizon Zero Dawn. But how could I enjoy Horizon more when put up against a perfect, flawless juggernaut like Zelda? Is it because I hate Nintendo and I'm a mindless Sony pony? No. Knack 2 is fucking lame, and Mario Odyssey is a fucking amazing platform, that shits all over it. I genuinely think that Breath of the Wild is not the work of high art that so many publications think it is, and if you're expecting me to start comparing this to Horizon Zero Dawn, no, that's not what this video is for. Do you want my opinions on that game? Click on the note in the top corner of this video to see it now. All of my reasons are there, and I don't think there's much point comparing the two when the hardcore nasty fans of Zelda won't even listen at all, so hey, enough blabbing and let's list the stuff I didn't like. The story is not that interesting at all in my opinion, even though I do love the mystery in the intro. The first hour of the game in the Great Plateau asks so many questions and leaves open an engaging narrative that you'll need to piece together, but then after you're done in the Great Plateau, which took me around an hour or so, you get a long expository cutscene from the spirit of the king explaining bloody everything. Not every in and out detail like the memories you uncover throughout the world, but enough for you to know exactly what's going on and what you're doing with no twists or surprises to speak of whatsoever. Even in the memories you need to find, sure you see more of the characters interacting 100 years ago, but it doesn't impact the way that you view any particular race or character since you're told directly multiple times what you've done in the past and what you're doing now, so the memories just feel like wasted potential to me. You discover nothing really that game-changing or brand new that affects everything because you're talking with these people now. You're doing what you're doing. How they feel is irrelevant. You need to save the world. And hey, it would have been a little bit better if Link also fucking reacted once in a while. Come on now. We've got to the point of Zelda being voice acted with real people, but they still don't make the main fucking character emote. I mean, I don't care if he's supposed to be the link between you as the player and the video game, or if there's a reason for his quietness in Zelda's diary. The game is centered around him as a hero that fell 100 years ago and needs to come back to finish off what he started. To see this fucker in all the memories saying and doing nothing and only ever grunting and opening his eyes widely when he's remembering something is just weird, especially when he clearly talks in dialogue choices. Even in the totally epic but admittedly easy final boss moments, both in the Sanctum and in Hyrule Field leading into the final cutscene, Link still decides to stay fucking silent, and the way that the game ends just feels awkward to me. Wind Waker at least did this right for a mute character, as did Skyward Sword to an extent, so why all this was dropped I have no clue. Also, am I the only one that found Zelda's voice acting distractingly bad? Because I thought it was pretty fucking bad, I'm sorry, and I could not take her seriously once. The rest of the characters are fine, but she kind of has one of those voices that sounds like an American actress trying so hard to do a British accent, but it just doesn't work, if you know what I mean. The saving grace is that you rarely have to listen to it, and there aren't that many cutscenes in the game, so I can let it slide. But as far as the game itself is concerned though, I'm going to address one of the more common complaints and one that I can't defend at all. The weapon durability, or should I say, how the fuck did the Royal Guards use any of these weapons if they broke in 25 fucking hits? When exploring, I like to feel like I'm going out of my way to find awesome shit that actually, you know, rewards my exploration and makes it feel like I found something special. So to then see how quickly everything falls apart only ever created a sense of apprehension and disappointment when I picked any weapon up. I don't even have a problem with durability, but when I noticed that the tree branches were breaking in not too many hits less than some of the fucking clubs and swords, I just don't buy that, I'm sorry. Even the Master Sword, the exception to the rule here, isn't that strong compared to the other drops except against the ancient enemies, and even that needs a 10-minute recharge when it runs out of energy. I see people compare this a lot to something like Uncharted, where you rush around and grab any gun that you can with your limited carrying space and it encourages you to get better with whatever weapon you can find, but no, it's not even slightly like that. Not only because you can find weapons absolutely everywhere and additional ammo to your guns you're more fond of, but because nothing fucking destroys itself with around 20 bullets or hits in this case, and can leave you naked in the middle of a tough battle if you aren't fully stocked and didn't know what was coming up, what with it being an open world. And what makes it worse is that in any other open world games with powerful guns or whatever with limited ammo, you at least gain extra XP to compensate for your use of those weapons when you feel like you need to use them. But here, there aren't experience points, so to get through an enemy camp and use a load of weapons that have all broken during this raid, especially in the early game, only for you to be rewarded with fucking nothing and no equipment left or points you can actually add to a tally to make yourself stronger, I found ridiculous in a few instances. I found it a bit odd that we essentially have an open RPG but without XP points, and I know it's Zelda which isn't built around that kind of system, but it's also a huge open world game, and with such an emphasis on getting stronger to beat Ganon, you never feel like you're actually progressing and getting stronger the more you actually do with the quests and the combat as Link, aside from completing the shrines shrines for hearts and stamina, which has nothing to do with the enemy encounters, which you'll be doing tons more than the shrines. Progression in that sense is only attributed to looking around for shrines and never with how better you're getting at fighting or completing more difficult quests. You gather more materials and find more weapons to combat tougher foes and create stronger armor which doesn't break, that's true, but your base strength and defense is never raised once, making you just want to avoid enemies more than actually take things from them. Because even if the risks aren't worth the reward in other open world games, you at least have some XP points to grow as a character and show something for it. But here, there is nothing more aggravating than getting through a gathering of tricky enemies, especially in the early game when many hits could be potentially fatal, only to be rewarded with a crappy bow, crappy shield, crappy weapon, maybe 5 or 10 different kinds of arrows, or a pathetic number of rupees that you'll just have to spend re-healing yourself or stocking up on more shit that you used in order to fight the enemies in the first place, especially with your very fragile weapons. You never know when the best time to use anything is, or if it'll be worth it for losing a good find like an ancient battle axe or something, and it doesn't feel good. I ended up rarely using my strong weapons in the game because I just didn't want to lose them, and that wasn't a great position to be in, especially when going up against a mini-boss or something when the rewards were rarely worth me breaking that strong weapon in the first place. I didn't know when I should be probably using these. Talking on the combat as well, I found it really fun and engaging 80% of the time, but the other 20% being left to the mercy of a terrible lock-on camera that doesn't let you switch targets during the lock-on, meaning that you have to take a gamble with unlocking and relocking roughly where you want to lock onto in a group, isn't that great, along with the flurry rush, which is fantastic when it works, but it seems to be a little bit too picky in too many places. I caught myself many times dodging during an attack and triggering the rush, but then dodging before the attack and triggering the rush, which gave me a nonsensical and unfair advantage. But then I also caught myself dodging during the attack but not triggering the rush, even though I'm pretty sure I should have done. It just seems a little bit all over the place. And to close off my grievances, how about those side quests? Most of them are just you fetching a list of shit and getting barely anything back for your efforts. Occasionally you'll get cool armor for harsh temperatures and world bonuses, but they are few and far between. Most of the time you just grab shit for random people for little reason. There aren't even any interesting Majora's Mask-esque side stories associated with the fetch quests. Or if there were, I couldn't find any. You just fetch shit for no other reason than fetching shit, and again, the rewards are often rarely worth it. I really do think XP would work here as well, so you didn't feel like you totally wasted your fucking time. Okay, now, I know I spent nearly half of this video ranting off, but I must be clear, I still bloody love my time in Breath of the Wild. It does a lot good, a damn lot damn good, but I feel like I needed to dedicate a bit more time to my annoyances with this game in particular, purely because of the critical reception here. I just do not understand how people could let so many of these things I said slide, but then this is my opinion, everyone's entitled to your opinion. If you want this game to be a 10 out of 10, that is absolutely up to you, but not for me it isn't. At the end of the day, this is what Breath of the Wild manages to do best in my opinion. Despite its flaws, it pulls you into its world and free-forming gameplay so well that you can forgive or look past many of the issues, which is probably why it's been rated so highly. And that's what I was able to do to an extent. Like I said, I still love my time with the game. I mean, just for another example, presentationally and contextually, I loved the final moments against Ganon, which made me completely bypass the fact that the bosses were ridiculously easy, especially compared to the Lynels, which aren't even fucking mini-bosses. That's the kind of game this is, one that brings you into its world and just lets you forget all the other stuff that's going on. But personally, I don't think I could really ignore enough of the shit that Breath of the Wild did for me to rate it as high as other people. So, to conclude, this is one of the best adventure games I've played for a while. For the adventure alone. One of the best video games of all time though? I don't see it. All I see are cracks in a game that really could have been a total masterpiece, and because of that, I'm gonna give this game an 8 out of 10. It's great. If it's your birthday today while watching this video, happy frickin' birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody, and special thanks to all the names on the screen right now who help support this channel through some of YouTube's biggest bullshit. Thank you so much, everybody, and special thanks to the top tier Patreon supporters: Omar Matu, Basil, Patrick Ferguson, Andy Ellis, Robert Alamsha, I Have a Portal Gun, Gamer Man, Alicia Knightley, Super Spyro Fan 2010, Daniel Leon, Jane Ives, Karsten, Mitchell Reed, Tiago Pereira, A.D. Thornton Smith, Oblivion Rising, Noxius, Ellen Rilpley, Kirsten B, QB, Nathan Young, and Nicole Ganara. Thank you so much, all of you guys.